What is up, guys? And of course, as always, welcome back to the Bear Review. So today I want to go over something a little bit different than what I normally do. I want to give you guys a little more information on the injury that sidelined Chicago Bears safety Jaquan Brisker for much of the 2024 NFL season. Officially, Brisker was listed as having a concussion, but that really doesn't scratch the surface of what truly was going on. And we, of course, found out only recently what Brisker had was a vestibular concussion. Now, that differs a little bit from normal concussions, so what I want to do today is just explain exactly what that means, how that differs from a normal run-of-the-mill concussion, what exactly caused it, and we'll also dabble a little bit in whether the protective equipment like the Guardian cap could have made a difference. So let's break it all down. I'll try to limit the medical jargon and just give you the clear facts. So let's jump right in. So first, let's set the stage. So we know on October 6, 2024, during a game against the Carolina Panthers, Brisker was involved in a tackle where Panthers tight end Tommy Tremble delivered a heavy hit to Brisker's neck and head area. We all know at first Brisker finished the game and didn't immediately feel any concussion symptoms. But later that night, he started to experience dizziness, vertigo, which are both classic signs of concussion. We know that later on he went to be diagnosed with a vestibular concussion after visiting a specialist at the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center. So I guess at this point you're wondering what exactly a vestibular concussion is. Now, unlike typical concussions that mostly affect cognitive functions like memory, concentration, a vestibular concussion hits the vestibular system. That's the inner ear structure responsible for balance, spatial orientation, and eye movement coordination. Now, what the system does is use semicircular canals and otolith organs in the inner ear to detect rotational and linear movements. There's tiny hair cells inside these organs that convert mechanical signals to nerve impulses. When a concussion-induced trauma disrupts these hair cells or the vestibular nerve pathways, the brain receives faulty information about head position and movement. The vestibular system also communicates closely with your ocular and proprioceptive systems to maintain gaze stability and body posture. Disruption here can cause things like dizziness, vertigo, which is a sensation of spinning, imbalance, nausea, and visual motion sensitivity. Now, the cause of Brisker's injury was a combination of rapid head acceleration and sudden twisting, what most doctors will call rotational acceleration, accompanied by shear forces. Unlike linear forces, which could cause forward and backwards or side-to-side motion, rotational forces twist the brain inside the skull. Now, rotational acceleration generates shear stress, or mechanical strain that stretches and sometimes damages axons, or the nerve fibers connecting brain cells. This diffuse axonal injury can particularly affect the vestibular nerve and related brainstem pathways. They're very delicate and highly susceptible to such forces. To give you a more real-world idea of what I mean, imagine gently shaking a bowl of jelly back and forth. That's like linear acceleration. The jelly moves together as one piece with less internal strains. Now, imagine twisting that bowl quickly from side to side. The jelly inside distorts, twists, and stretches unevenly. This twisting mirrors rotational forces, causing microscopic tears in the nerve fibers, leading to complex damage. Because nerve fibers are stretched and twisted at different rates throughout the brain, rotational forces disrupt multiple neural networks simultaneously, leading to more severe impairments in balance, coordination, vision, and cognition compared to linear forces alone. Now, one thing we talked about throughout the regular season last year was why Brisker was on IR for so long. And the thing is, recovery from a vestibular concussion isn't just rest. The brain's vestibular pathways need to actively retrain to restore proper function. That's where vestibular rehabilitation therapy, or VTR, comes in. VTR uses targeted exercises to promote neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize and form new connections. Exercises may include things like gaze stabilization, where you focus on a different stationary object while moving your head, balance challenges, head-eye coordination drills like catching a moving ball, etc. These therapies encourage controlled symptom-provoking activities to recalibrate the brain's interpretation of signals from the inner ear, eyes, and muscles, gradually reducing dizziness, improving balance, and enhancing spatial awareness. So I just want to quickly sum up the differences between typical concussions versus vestibular concussions, because I know this is a lot of information to take in. So typical concussions, like I said, mainly impact cognitive domains like thinking, memory, and concentration. Vestibular concussions disrupt balance, cause vertigo, and create visual motion sensitivity. They also often require specialized physical therapy for weeks or months, where a typical concussion usually resolves within a few weeks. Now that we've gone over all that information, some of you might ask, what about the Guardian cap? What exactly is the Guardian cap? Well, to put it simply, it's just a soft shell padded cover that fits over football helmets and is designed to absorb and disperse impact energy. Would this have helped in Brisker's case? We'll get into that in just a moment. Now, of course, studies have shown Guardian caps reduce linear accelerations by roughly 10 to 20% in some cases, and can lower concussion risk during practice by as much as 50%. Now, what the padded cushion does is reduce peak linear forces transmitted to the head. Now, I can go into a whole video on the science behind Guardian caps and do or do they not work, but that's not what we're talking about here today. If you do want to hear about something like that, drop a comment below and let me know, and I'll gladly do the video for you guys as soon as possible. The thing is, though, the more injurious rotational accelerations, or the twisting forces responsible for vestibular concussions like Briskers, are harder to mitigate. Now, research shows that current Guardian cap designs offer inconsistent and limited reduction in rotational forces due partially to the complex biomechanics of twisting impacts. So could the Guardian cap have helped Jaquan Brisker at all? Possibly, to some degree by reducing blunt linear impacts, but it's unlikely to have fully prevented his vestibular concussion, caused primarily by the rotational shear forces which I mentioned earlier. Now, with Brisker's third concussion in fewer than 3 seasons, cumulative neural vulnerability further complicates prevention. The best protection combines equipment improvements, safer tackling techniques, early diagnosis, and comprehensive medical care. And what's really inspiring, guys, is Brisker's commitment to his recovery. After months of rehab, he's back on the field, practicing at full speed, confident and ready to compete, while also making subtle adjustments in his style to reduce further injury. Now, one thing I do hope the Bears take away from this and use for other players in the future is preventions for concussions of this nature are multifaceted. Things like equipment, training, protocols, medical expertise all play vital roles. And I also feel that fans sometimes forget that. And that's partially why I wanted to do this video here today for you. So, if this did help you understand Brisker's injury a little better, please like the video, subscribe for more Bears content, of course, and comment with any more questions you have below. I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. Again, thank you all for watching. Stay safe out there, guys. And of course, bear down.